Welcome back to Someone You Need to Know. I'm your host, Rashanah Baldwin. Today's guest is a definition of global vision and purpose, Makeda Smith. She's a real estate strategist, international speaker, and the CEO of Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, which she grew from a small room of 60 women in a multi-million-dollar global brand that impacted thousands around the world. She's closed deals in the US, Ghana, Nigeria, Dubai, and beyond, and has hosted sold-out retreats across the country, in Africa, in the diaspora, around the world, teaching people how to build wealth, live boldly through real estate. Makeda works to blend faith, prophetic vision, and business savvy, promoting that legacy has no borders. Let's dive into her journey, her wisdom, and her vision for what's next. What sparked Savvy Chicks? Savvy Chicks in Real Estate. Where did you get that calling from? You were a real estate agent, still are a real estate agent here in the state of Illinois, our great state. Where did that brand, that Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, come from?
So I had, and I don't think I told the story much, but I had a coach. Her name was CC Gunn. We call her the six-figure chick on Instagram. She has since passed away from cancer, but she left such a huge legacy, a big impact, especially on digital creators on social media. And when I joined her community, I was in real estate. I was looking to see how I could do things different than other real estate agents that was just selling property. Like, how can I create digital products from ebooks to courses? And she was the one who taught me that. So I always loved the word chicks. So six-figure chicks, I was like, I got to have chicks in my name. And so when I was trying to figure out what to call this thing to help real estate agents to make like multiple streams of income, because they were already reaching out to me like, Makeda, how are you doing this, how are you doing that? And I'm like, I need to create a group. And so nobody wants to be called like, Makeda Smith, da 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 this. So it's like I have to come up with a name that's going to represent all of us. And so Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, that's how I created the name from my mentor then, just loving the word chicks. And it has been 7 years and it has worked.
Nice, 7 years. What was the first international opportunity that made you realize this is bigger than just Chicago? This is worldwide.
Well, I'll start first telling a story. I did not think anything about international when I got my license in 2004. I had no idea that God would use me worldwide in the real estate industry to open up doors for other people globally. Like, I'm still blown away by it. But my friend in October of 2022, Lencia, she reached out to me, Chicago native as well. She reached out to me and was like, I want you and your husband to speak in Dubai. She was having a conference. And so we spoke in Dubai about couples doing business together. And at the end of that retreat, Rashanah, we went out and we looked at the desert. And I looked around, nothing but sand for miles around. It was the first time that this girl from the west side of Chicago had ever been surrounded by desert, sand and outside of the beach. And so I took my shoes off and I was like, God, enlarge my territory. He did that. By the time October, December came of that year, my husband and I, we went to Bali. From there, I was like, I need people to experience Bali. And so I hosted a brunch. I launched Bali. I had one person sign up. I was so sad. And then all of a sudden in 2 weeks, because I kept going. So to anybody out there, if God gives you an idea, keep pushing. I kept pushing. 2 weeks later, we were sold out. I believe that was in February of 2023. And it was the most money that I have ever made within my business, because we almost hit 100K in like 1 month. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. So that's when I knew that this could grow. And from there, it was the Dominican Republic. A few months later, we went to Dubai and Egypt. From there, we ended the year of 2023 in Ghana in December. My first time going to Ghana. I have been back 5 times since. And so, yeah, that's it. Just once it started happening, that's how I knew that it was something bigger than me and that it was something to help people to go global.
When you're doing these retreats, when you're taking women to these countries, what are they learning? What are they experiencing when they go over there?
Okay, so I want to make sure that for anybody that's listening, because people ask me, is this retreat just for women? And so it really has evolved over years. When I was hosting conferences in Chicago, people would always ask me, Makeda, can men come to to the conference? I'm like, yeah, sure. And so men started showing up at our conferences as well. They just loved the concept of everything that we were doing. But now moving globally, because then it was also helping people to be savvy chicks. So in order to be a savvy chick, it's like you have to have multiple streams of income. You have to be very witty and creative with your strategy and ideas. And so I always had people that were either hotel owners, people that own like multiple investment properties. You know, that's how we had Brandy on that time because she had all these doors. And I'm like, Brandy, nobody knows that you have all these doors. And she was like, I know. But now she has come out, you know, of the shadow, and she's developing and all of those things. And so we have people like her, the attorneys that come and just teach people how to get wealth, how to preserve wealth, how to sustain it, how to scale their businesses, how not to suffer under the pressure. And now I'm even with, you know, everything that I've been going through over the last 2 years and year and a half. It's like now bringing in the mental side to it as well, because um, the way that we grow, it's all mindset. And so what the women and men are learning on our retreats, they're learning how to diversify their income across different continents, and how diversify across countries and currencies, so that they're not only doing business just inside of the US or their home country, wherever they may be from, but now they're taking advantage of how to get dual citizenship, how to get multiple passports, how to use that to be able to leverage investment properties, or to be able to go to a certain country visa free, because now you have become a citizen of a certain country, and now you can just, you know, go across borders. And so they just learning how to diversify, um, kind of like in a way that we did here at home in the US, but now they're learning across countries. And I had someone this morning, Rashanah, who reached out, and she was like, Makeda, this is all new for me, and I know that, you know, it is for a lot of other people, but you're gonna have to take your time with me. And I said, this is why God sent me ahead 3 years ago. And I was like, God, why am I out here by myself? I feel like I'm on an island by myself, because these people, not everybody wants to go international. But now, with everything that's happening in the world, that's happening in this country, people are like, Makeda, show me the way. And so I'm so glad that I've been out here the last 3 years, going to different countries and just learning about all the different opportunities. And so they are just learning how to multiply what they have across different nations.
What experience has taught you to going over there to these countries to keep going
Mhm.
forward? Like, how are you, I guess, finding the next country that you want to take the individuals to? The you say it's not just for women, men too.
Uh-huh.
So how are you finding the countries, right? So how are you, even with so much happening, right? Specifically in our
Yeah.
climate, political climate, are you, what do you, how are you picking the countries, and how are you developing those relationships with the individuals over there?
So before, there was no rhyme or reason to like picking the countries. It was like, okay, God said go here, go. And sometimes it's like that as well. But now I understand why he dropped Ghana in my spirit, because now I've been to Ghana like 5 times. I understand why Dominican Republic came across my desk, and it was because another agent recommended Dominican Republic. But now I've been there 4 times, and so I now understand why my friend reached out to me, and she was like, okay, Makeda, can y'all come to Dubai? And so in coming to Dubai, I then took 2 groups to Dubai. My husband and I, we went by ourselves for almost 30 days. And so now I've been to Dubai like 4 times. So everything I would say has been a divine order. But now I'm looking at where are the places that is easy entry. So what I mean by easy entry is, where are the golden visa programs? Like, where are the investment programs to where you invest a certain dollar amount in a country and you can apply for your residency or citizenship? What are the easy entry points to where somebody can easily get a residency visa or a work visa to work in the country or a business visa. So now I'm going deeper to find out like where are the easy access and where can I find countries that is a relief for at least American citizens, whereas Dubai, they don't have income tax, they don't have real estate property tax. And so they also recently opened up to where there was a difference between people buying freehold and leasehold. So when you buy freehold title, that means you own your property forever. But when you buy leasehold, which is a lot of African nations, you are only buying the land on a lease. So you will never be able to own the land as a foreigner except for that period of leasehold. And Dubai, because so many have been coming and opening up and investing in the country, they open up pockets in Dubai. Before, you would only be able to own the land for like 99 years. Now they have opened up freehold territory, which is very, very good for people who are looking to, diversify their investments and they want to own something forever. And so I'm just getting educated and educating other people as I go.
I was just about to say, you studying international real estate, or did you like go back and get like some master's degree and talk about that? Because
Mhm.
we hear certain programs or other programs who charges thousands of
Mhm.
dollars to rip people off.
Mhm.
And me experiencing Putakana and seeing how the transactions work. You're not just giving someone money, you're giving me land. Like there is an even exchange, but talk about your experience and you're learning the knowledge and understanding and making sure your people are taken care of and know the laws or rules, because different laws apply in different countries as we
Yeah.
learn, going over there. Construction and development is different in the United States than it is over in different countries. So talk a little bit about that experience of you vetting, getting to know individuals, building those relationships, making sure everyone's, at least protected and knowledgeable and everything is transparent.
Yeah. So for me, I did not study international real estate. Like I said, I kind of like just fell into it because of, the invitation to go to Dubai. And from there, everything just began to unlock step after step, country after country. And so for me, for anybody that is out there, that if you are scared or afraid or don't know, okay, how would I do all of this? I didn't know either. So until I got to Dubai, I got to Bali. From Bali, I got to the Dominican Republic. From the Dominican Republic, I got to Egypt and Dubai. But then I learned how to navigate. And so the question that you asked, no, I didn't go back to school to learn how to do international real estate, but I did do some studying and researching on my own to find out like, okay, if I'm operating in the Dominican Republic, what are the rules? The rules right now, it doesn't require you to have a license in order to sell international real estate. Are there people who are with a brokerage on the ground? Yes, you can be with a brokerage on the ground, but those people do not have to go back and get a license to work under that said brokerage. Can you work directly with the developers that are in the country without having a license? The answer right now is yes. And I would also just want to give a disclaimer. Just because the answer is you can be unlicensed right now does not mean that the country is not going to say, hey, wait a minute, we want everybody within our country who is selling international real estate to get a work permit or to be licensed in the country. This can always change. So just FYI. But as I began to work Dominican Republic, learned that market, how that process worked. Then I got into Ghana market, learned that process, learned how everything works. And just even looking at Ghana, because people would say, well, don't you have to have a license to work, in Ghana? Ghana is one of those countries that when I started 2 years ago, it did not require you to have a license, even though that there was a law that was written that they wanted people to be licensed in order to sell. They didn't have the council or the people, the government body to put together to enforce those laws. And so you didn't have to have a license to be able to work directly with the developers or to join a brokerage on the ground. But now those rules and laws are changing. As I always told people, you don't know when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, we're going to be ready. So that country is going to be changing pretty soon, but it's a whole bunch of different countries that you don't need to have a license in. And I'm just learning as I go. And right now, we are operating in about 7 countries, and we have a network of real estate agent partners, affiliates, brokers that are working with us. We also have investors that are like Makeda. I want to invest, but I also want to let my investment community know about opportunities. Can I also sell international real estate? And I said, absolutely. You can sell as a referral partner and come in as an affiliate and earn commission. So I'm just taking it case by case. But when somebody tells me, Makeda, oh, you can't do this, or this is no longer allowed, then I will abide by those country rules and laws.
What is the typical cost when you are taking not investors, individuals who want to go? Because I want to make sure people know it's not a gazillion dollars. It is affordable. It's
Yeah.
not thousands of dollars. Like, what is the package? If I go to Ghana with you, what am I expecting roughly to pay, and what do I walk away with?
Okay, so most times you will see people that have packages ranging from anywhere from $3,500 to like up to $8,000. That's like the average. I even see I came across this page. It's not a us page, but it's inspiring to me because they charge people like $50,000 to take them to another country, but they give them such a luxury experience to where they flying on a jet, like they doing all these lux things. And I was like, oh, I want to get there to where I'm taking my people out on a jet. And that's coming soon. But it's the average cost is between $4,500 and $5,500. That's the average cost. And really, I was thinking about it earlier. I said, you know what? People that go on a trip for 7 days or 6 days should not be paying the same cost as somebody that goes on a trip for 10 days. And so even myself have to go back and like reevaluate what I have been charging and just the values that I have, because now I have more experience. So for an example, now when I go back to this in December for that 10-day retreat that we're going to have, that's only for developers and investors who are looking to invest in Africa. And now, because of the relationships that I built on the ground, we're going to have the African diaspora to be a part of that. We're going to have the investment center to be a part of that. We're going to have the banks on the ground to be a part of that, because now, how do you open up a bank account there? How do you start a business? How do you, what are the areas in Ghana where there are investment opportunities outside of real estate? So there's the oil industry, there's the tech industry, there is the agriculture industry. So it's just not real estate. So I want to show them what is available, because people that go, yeah, we talk a lot about investing in real estate, but there are also other opportunities, including buying businesses on the grounds of these other foreign countries. So between $4,500 and $5,500 is the investment. And what they're getting is, what people have told me, is clarity. Is being able to have the knowledge of how to operate. They're learning culture in other countries. And just the experience alone, you can't really put a price tag on it, because it means so much to different people for different things. But for those that are investing, honey, they get in like 80%, 40%, 50%, 30% return on their investment, depending on where they're buying.
But within that 7 to 10 days, what are they learning? Because people don't hear, this is actually a relatively affordable package that you put together, because it's the trip,
Mhm.
airfare, it's the hotel stay, it's the workshops, it's the panels, right? Can you talk a little bit about that so people know, like, hey, when you sign up, you're not, because I've seen some of the same things you've seen on social media. It's like, your $10,000 just got you access to the workshop. You have to still buy your flight, your food,
Yeah,
transportation.
yeah. So anything that's 4,500 and 5,500, going over to Africa, that is not flight included, because going to Bali, Dubai, Africa, you can expect to pay between $1,200 and $1,500 for your actual ticket. And if you wait until it's close to the time to go, you're gonna spend $2,000 on that round trip ticket. Just FYI. So it does not include flight. However, it does, once you land on that ground, like, we're taking care of you. And so They get picked up from the airport. It includes ground transportation. They're being routed to their hotel. We do not stay in two and three, 4-star hotels. We stay in all 5-star hotels. So that's something to point out as well. So yes, you may see somebody that may have a cheaper package out there, but they probably have you in a 3-star hotel. And the experience is not going to be the same. Everything that we do is 5-star hotel. I already have what I want picked out and laid out because Savvy Chicks in Real Estate has created a luxury standard, and I want to make sure that we uphold that. So when everybody is saying, "Oh, I want on a Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, retreat," they already know that it's Lux. Not to the $50,000 tune Lux, but it's coming. And then also they get a chance to go on the excursions. We have meals that are included. Our welcome and farewell dinner is always included. There is a difference between going on a retreat with us and then also going on a tour. A tour is typically like 3 to 4 days where we just go and we're only looking at properties. We may do 1 or 2 excursions. We have a welcome dinner, but we're looking at property for 3 to 4 days. But a retreat, we're staying the entire week or we're staying 2 weeks and we're doing all of the things that you want to experience in a country. Because even if you're coming to invest, you want to know as a tourist, like, what are people coming to see? What are they looking to do? So if they're going to book your unit, like, what are you going to have for them to, go out to? And so we have people that are buying properties for short-term rental, but then they're putting in other service, concierge service, like a car, picking people up from the airport, making sure that they have a way to be able to get around town, letting them know that they can book excursions through them. And so, and even up to hiring a private chef, dropping off food and all of the things that I'm loving that people are adding to their short-term rentals. But it's an experience, especially when you come to our annual conference. So the conference is different from the retreat as well. Our annual License and Abother conference is always all inclusive. So we try to find an all-inclusive resort that people stay on. So by the time you get there, you're not spending any extra money unless you want to, but everything is all-inclusive, including all of the meals and drinks because we're staying at an all-inclusive resort. Just like we just did when we went to Zanzibar. That was all-inclusive.
So you essentially have three different type of experiences. If I heard you correctly, you
Yeah.
have retreat that's like you said a week long, up to 10 days. Then you have the actual tours, 3 to 4 days, and then you have the annual conference. So those are three different type of experiences. And so when I went to Punta, that was the tour.
Conference.
Oh,
It was a conference because we stayed in an all inclusive resort and we stayed, I think it was 4 nights, 5 days.
yeah.
Stayed, yep. So that was an actual conference because we had speakers. That event is the only time that we actually have like a slew of panel discussions, a stage to where we have a list of speakers that are going to, speak.
How are you? And you said you did not study international real estate, international business administration.
Mm-mm.
What's the appropriate? How are you, vetting and putting together, well, I'll say, how are you vetting them? Because the work is great, it's authentic, and it
Mhm.
feels very yeah, like I said, authentic. And like I walked away from the retreat feeling so full of just knowledge. Although I wasn't ready to necessarily invest, it was like this was not a waste of my time. And to say that here in the States, just going to in-person conferences, where just at different convention centers, you're like, this was a waste of my fucking time. I spent $1,000 at home, but it's like, yeah, I know you have a team. Talk about that, your team, who you're working with, because it takes hours and hours. I know you say you was like, I got the, God was very, you say you stuck a left on faith, but you put a lot of work into developing this.
Yeah.
Like, talk about that, what goes behind it, because we don't see that. We think it's, oh, like you said, luxury. Because yeah, can you break that down? Of
Yeah. So God took me on a journey. So I'm gonna start from the beginning of that journey. So the team consists of having someone to do like the all of the media work. So like when you were there, we had Carl from Chicago who I had been working with for like 5 years previously. So him and his team was on the ground and then they were, oh, that wasn't that part of your retreat. The year before,
Uh-huh.
We went to Punta Cana. He was on the ground taking pictures, doing videos, having separate photo shoots and things like that with the team. And so just making sure you have that media, because even though you have a conference, you still need a media presence after the conference. So now I have a whole vault of content just from working with him over the years that I can go back, I can pull out pictures, and they still look good to this day. That even though it was taken 6 years ago, it still fits for today. And so that's the media team, number one. Then you need someone to help you to do like the planning, so like all the administrative work and reaching out to the hotels, finding out which one has like the best pricing. And it's not always about the best pricing, it's what you can get for the actual price. Because case in point, one of the hotels that I was looking at for Ghana coming up, they were like, well, Makeda, we may be more expensive, but we're going to give your people access to the common area of the spa, to where they can go and enjoy the pool. They can use the sauna. I was like, oh, that would be nice for them to be able to do that outside of getting a massage, but it will be included with our package in which we have. And so that was also a plus. And then some hotels, they'll give you like for every 10 rooms that you book, you get one free. And so you want to look at things like that. I've learned over the years that you can also get bamboozled going into these international streets as well, because when people see you coming from the US, they will take advantage of you and give you that foreigner's price. And so I learned how to build relationships with locals so I can have the locals to ask, hey, ask them,
Oh, right there. That's exactly what I wanted to even go deeper because I
okay,
went to Ghana on my, well, not on my own. I went with another Sankofa USA.
okay.
And they talked about the same experience too of how much vetting, how much years they spend developing those relationships. How do you, that's what I want, I guess I was trying to ask, develop those relationships internationally because you're putting people's lives in your hands. You're asking us to trust you as we come on this journey with you to learn about real estate. We're all in these streets. Talk about that relationship and vetting. Is it even, and now, as I was watching you on social media, I was like, maybe because you always have to have a husband. You were in countries like Dubai and Zanzibar. Maybe because she has a man with her. Because even in those foreign countries where they're super religious and still have certain laws of how men are supposed to be respected, I was like, huh, this is really interesting and fascinating.
You girl, I always tell a story about when my husband and I we first went to Dubai, and he was like, "Oh, you need to cover up your leg, you need to cover up your shoulder, you need to cover." I was like, "Oh, you loving this? Like you loving them to saying that we have to cover up." But then we go out, people got on tank tops, they got on short shorts, like it was just very very different. And so one of the things that I learned when I went to Zanzibar is that Zanzibar is a Muslim country. I think I knew that by finding out the president was female and just seeing like, that her religion was Islam. But when we went, we really seen that when we were on the street and we were driving through the towns, every woman was covered up, even right down to the baby, like to the baby, to the daughters. Like they were all covered up. And I was like, okay, so Zanzibar is an Islam country, but they have some Christianity and some other religions as well. But the way that they migrated from the northern part and had the influence of the Middle East on their country, it just resonated with them and they took to that, and that's what they have been practicing for hundreds of years. And I was like, wow, so learning that history. So for me, it's getting on the ground, having those relationships with, it starts kind of like with the tour guides, because your tour guides, and if you find a good tour guide, because I won't say that all of them are good, because some of them are looking out for their pockets as well and what they can get and all of that stuff and where they can get their families. And I understand it, but I'm looking for people who work with integrity and that is not looking to like take advantage, but we all can make it. And when I find out that you're that type of person, I'm also pouring into them like, okay, you better call that client and make sure that you get paid for your money. Because I had a tour guide in Ghana, and he was like, "Well, they didn't give me all of the money." I was like, "Reach out to them on WhatsApp and ask them for your money." And so, it's like it works vice versa. But I'm on the ground learning who they are. If I go to a restaurant, I'm meeting with people. If I go to just a spot and you just meet nice people, you kind of like get their WhatsApp information. If they say that they can, provide this, I do now kind of slow down and I take my time, because there's always people that say that they can help, that they're for the community, that they can do this, they can do that. And I'm not even going to say that these are all people that are international. You have national people in the US that will take advantage of your community and take advantage for their own selfish reasons to sell their own services, their own products, and then once they're done, they're out. And so those are people that you encounter as well. So for me, being a shepherd of my community, God has put, in charge, I just now take my time in these relationships and vetting people, and also when it comes to like the developers, and making sure that they are registered with the country, that they are in good practice, good business practice with the country, that there's no like things or whatever. And just taking my time, making sure that they can build on the land, that they can provide me with the actual paperwork to do that. If they have built properties before, I want to see what properties that they have built before. And like, it's not always predicated on that, because there is a developer that I'm currently working with that's in Ghana, but it's his first development. But I was like, oh, wait a minute, your mentor, I know your mentor. He has 20 years in the business and development in Ghana. He has 7 projects. I've been to a few of them already. I know his work. And if his senior developer is his senior engineer, not developer, his senior engineer is overseeing your senior engineer, he is helping you and mentoring you through your project, then I trust your project, because I trust that person who has 20 year of experience. So everything is a case by case basis, but it's basically I have to vet everybody.
Hosted trips across from Ghana to Zanzibar to Maldives. What have these trips taught you about community, purpose, and power of Black people reclaiming space globally?
Black people reclaiming space globally. I would say that for me, I have seen people awaken to a greater version of themselves. I don't know why. I just got emotional just thinking about, like, picturing in my head. People have been having breakthroughs. When we went to Ghana and we went to the Riverwalk, and just being able to speak powerful words into people, going into the river where our ancestors took like their last bath. It's just a whole powerful experience that you can't really put into words, but I'm trying. But people come back just empowered. Going to the slave dungeon, because people told me to stop calling it a castle. Going to the slave dungeons, going through the door of no return, to where they walked out of the door, but then turning around and coming back through that same door that our ancestors never got a chance to go back through. So it was like we went back through the door for them, but then we came back free. We came back as entrepreneurs. I'm getting chills too. Came back as people that were not bound to like chains and balls and all those things, but we stand on their shoulders. And so when we were in Ghana, when we was in Ghana, the tour guide, an African gentleman, he was like, do you all want to go up to the governor's chambers, or do you not want to see it? Because out of respect for the women that were raped, in that room, you may not want to go up. And I was like, why would we not want to go up? Because out of respect for them, why would we not want to see the room and where they endured rape? And so for me, I was willing to be uncomfortable for 5 minutes or 10 minutes being in that room, and just standing in the midst of just feeling the hurt, shame, and everything that took place in that room for my ancestors that were brutally raped. And so he was like, well, I forgot what all he said, but he was surprised that I had said that. And so everybody ended up in our tour, because I was gonna go by myself, but everybody, all the women, we all went up to that room. And so we all were able to like feel what it was like for somebody to be summoned up, to be picked out of a courtyard, to be raped, and sometimes for them to have to bear, these children, as well, from the rape, being separated from their children, being separated from their some of them husbands, so they were separated from the men. I wanted to feel that. I wanted to stand in the room and stand in the presence for my ancestors, and just be thankful for the fact that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I still need to do my DNA test so I can see where I could have come from.
The experience, that's wow. I went to Ghana, and I went to the slave dungeons, slave castles, honey. You said it was emotional. It made me think of how people oftentimes say like slavery was a choice. It's like if the tour guides hadn't said anything, you still feel that heavy presence. The moment you step on to those castles, you still feel that heavy our ancestors. They didn't say much, but you instantly felt it, and I couldn't last in there. I damn near collapsed. I'm like, I got to go. We was in there in the the tunnel with the candles. I'm like, I'm like, y'all about to see me on this floor with all white. That's how emotion. I wasn't crying, but other people was. But the emotion and the intensity, I'm like, I'm about to pass out. And then we went to the next one. We went to the other castle slave, I think in not Kumasi, I forgot, but similar.
So it's two in Cape Coast Castle. So
Yeah,
it's two. It's like the Elmina, and I forget what the other
Elmina.
one
We
is.
went to
Yep.
Elmina.
Yeah,
It's
that was my first time going to Elmina when we went last week. So I always go to the other one, but they said that this is the biggest one, and I was like, wow. So now I have a chance to compare both of them. But I mean,
the
yeah,
experience, and that's great that you're taking African Americans over there too. I think everyone needs to just experience it. But the heaviness, the presence of our ancestors and what they went through, it's undescribable. You just have to be there to go. And to now you're bringing people over there to invest in property and buy property. I did the whole tour. I went to the governor's mansion room, saw it. I was like, okay, I got to go. I'm about to pass out. I don't think we talked. No one really had much to say afterwards, but
yeah,
it it was worth the experience. The baths, the writing on the wall,
yeah.
all of that. And you're bringing people over there.
Yeah, and so that was a humbling experience for them to be able to see it. So I love being able to see like Africa, Ghana, Kenya, Zanzibar. Haven't took a tour on not to Nigeria, but I did take like me and my husband. We both went, but we haven't taken a tour there. But for me to be able to watch for the first time people go over to the motherland and seeing their experience through their own eyes, it just brings me joy and fulfillment of like what we're actually doing.
Thanks for tuning in to Someone You Need to Know. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the podcast on all major platforms and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rashanah B, for more inspiring stories. Until next time, keep shining, keep building, and keep making the world a better place, one story at a time.